Hello and welcome to Sibos 2022. Now, part of SmartStream's involvement in this year's event entails a series of 4 interviews with its subject matter experts. This is the 4th interview in that series, and it's with Vincent Kilcoyne, Executive Vice President, Product Management at SmartStream. So firstly, welcome, Vincent, and thanks for spending a little bit of your day with me today.
Thank you very much, Victor. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Good to see you again. Now, today's discussion will focus on 2 key themes for capital markets firms. That is innovation and change. It's an area that SmartStream spends a lot of time focusing on. And we'll hear towards the end of this interview what those 2 variables mean practically to SmartStream as a business. So to kick off today's discussion, Vincent, let's talk a little bit about where you see the biggest opportunities and the challenges for change within banks right now.
Well, thanks very much, Victor. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you. I find your question is really quite multidimensional and multi-layered, because when you really look at it, the financial services sector, banking, for want of a better word, as we're talking about it today, and we can talk about the banks and the non-bank financial community are very much representative of what's happening across it. And what I'm seeing is, for want of a better word, almost a bifurcated situation whereby you have within one organization, a bank, for example, certain operations that are dominated and very heavily populated by a group of people who have a forensic understanding of what is happening. So, for example, capital markets, settlements and reconciliation, corporate actions, cash and liquidity. So there's a huge amount of forensic understanding of what happens. Then we have the other world, right, which is, the fast-moving world of digital payments. And if you go to any bank and you were to ask them 10 years ago, what do they know about corporate actions or capital markets payments, their knowledge would be rich and deep and diverse. If you were to go to those organizations 10 years ago and ask them what was happening in the world of digital payments, the message would be very different to what it is today.
Yeah.
So in that sense, we have a bifurcated world in that there is a deep knowledge in certain areas, and then there's a limited experience and knowledge at a forensic level of what is happening in this new emerging problem space or opportunity space, due to the sheer volume, the diversity, the growth of what's happening, and the speed with which organizations have to be able to respond to basically accommodate this changing bifurcated world. We have a real depth of understanding of what happens on one side and familiarity, and then on the other side, we know people. We have a lot of people who know how to operate the systems, but they don't necessarily have a huge forensic understanding. So the challenge there is, how do you engender and embody change and innovation within the organization while continuing to bring along these different user communities with this different level of forensic knowledge? Can you find ways to surface the intelligence that is embodied within that forensic knowledge to different communities? And not only in terms of surfacing the information, you also have to be able to surface it in real time, because right across the community, users in corporate actions, cash and liquidity, capital market settlements demand the information now in real time, and the users in the digital payments world, by its very nature, that's a real-time problem. So this bifurcation needs to be addressed. And what that means is that the technology and the operations have to be incredibly closely coupled. And you have to look at it with a new lens, which is, how do I solve the problems not of today? How do I solve the problems of 5 years, the tomorrows? And the tomorrow needs to be the 3 to 5 years time horizon. It can't be a 12-month time horizon. You have to be able to position your technology, because a few years ago, who would have thought that they were running 5 million transactions a day? Now we, as an organization, are seeing our clients doing 25, 30, 50, hundreds of millions of transactions per day. So that is both an operational and a technology problem. And it's an incredible opportunity for everybody to look at it and say, how do we reinvent and change the way in which we surface our technology, we test hypotheses, we change the operations?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's the kind of the change component. Let's move our focus to innovation now. And what do you see as some of the key drivers to successful innovation? I suppose that's the key here, is successful innovation. Everybody tries to innovate. How do you do it successfully? And what are you seeing within the firms that typically you speak to that are successful in terms of surfacing innovation within the business?
Right. So in innovation, and let's look at it initially as technology innovation. So there are a number of initiatives globally in virtually every single bank where they are looking at innovative stroke disruptive technologies, and they are identifying potential use cases using the data that we process on a daily basis, the lifeblood of any financial institution. And they're creating these very interesting use cases. But they look at it very much initially from a technology perspective. What do I want as an outcome from an analytics or from an information perspective? Then the next challenge is, how do I take that outcome or output, as the case may be, and incorporate it into my control infrastructure so that I now have a monetizable outcome, a business benefit? And this is where the challenge happens. This is where the break or the disconnect happens, because increasingly what we're finding is the skill set, mindset, approach, knowledge, understanding, experience that is used in innovation is not of an operational nature, all right? Not of a forensic operational nature. So then when organizations try to incorporate that into their control framework to protect the operational compliance and integrity, etc., of the organization, that's where the challenge happens. And this is what we've been finding. And this was actually one of the key drivers behind us launching our innovation lab, to be able to build AI use cases, but then fundamentally and critically to be able to surface these innovations into our typical operationally dominant products in the industry. So we firstly say, how do we solve the problem? And then how do we operationalize it? So we're able to operationalize the innovation. And I think that that's the biggest challenge, is the operationalization of innovation.
Okay, good. Right. So the spotlight up to now in our conversation has been on your clients. Let's turn the spotlight onto SmartStream as a business, and let's talk a little bit about how SmartStream as an organization fosters and surfaces innovation within the business. You mentioned the innovation lab in Vienna, run by Andreas Berner and a number of his colleagues. It's been incredibly successful in terms of yielding products and technologies that support use cases, and therefore you can make a business case once you have a use case. So do you want to talk a little bit about what SmartStream, what innovation means to SmartStream practically as a business?
Right. So you're absolutely right. And Andreas has done an incredible job of leading his team and in embracing in every possible way the potentials of a number of really innovative technologies. But fundamentally, Andreas has got an incredible understanding of the problem spaces that we work with. He's put together and assembled a very good product management team. And they work very closely with all of us in product, because what we do is we look at each product, we have a product-centric lens, and we look at the operational element of that product lens. And we say, well, what are the operational problems that we want to be able to solve? Then we work with the innovation lab and we create a small little team to be able to focus on each individual operational use case. Right? So that it's not looking at, we're not using innovation to drive an analytical output. We're actually using innovation to drive an operational output that we can feed into, and that we have a system and a solution that is ready to embrace that innovative approach. Okay, so we take that collective and holistic approach of the innovation, the outcome, and then how do we operationalize and incorporate it through extensive APIs, microservices, etc. All right, but we are very critical, because what we also do is we work very closely with our customers to be able to identify operational inefficiencies or challenges that we feel we can solve through the use of the innovative technologies and through working directly with Andy. So we bring him and his team into the real discovery conversations with our specialists and our customers to really have a laser focus on the operational challenges and how do we address that.
Mm-hmm. Good, good. Vincent, it's been an absolute pleasure catching up with you. And this has been a short and sweet conversation. I look forward to perhaps extended conversations towards the end of the year or into next year. That just leaves me to wish you and your colleagues well for Sibos 2022. I hope it's a productive time for all of you, and I look forward to catching up with you and also some of your colleagues during the course of the near future.
Likewise, I'm looking forward to catching up with you and many of our clients and colleagues across the industry.
Good. Thank you, Vincent.